Parents sacrifice a lot for their kids because of the future. In this movie, you can just see how that sacrifice made the whole difference. In life, always be the first one to trust someone, to take that first step in trusting them. Now, if they show a sign of distrust, then you can pull back. But at least you've taken your first step of taking a chance. Hello LinPrinPers, and welcome back to another episode of Laraddiji's LinPrinP. It's 1 p.m. in LinPrinP world today, you guys, and it's all about the laugh section of this channel, the laugh and fall flat section of this channel, where I attempt to make you think to laugh and laugh to think. Today, we're going to be dissecting this Disney movie that came out in March, Raya. This movie has taken Frozen out of my kids' mouths so far. We have been watching it once or twice every month ever since. And I'm sure your kids are doing the same as well.
How did this world get so broken?
I believe that we can be unified again, but someone has to take the first step.
All right, Tuk Tuk. Let's roll.
From the studio that brought you Frozen.
Hold on.
Oh, we were doing a jumpy thing. Oh, so sorry, my bad.
Raya and the Last Dragon, rated PG.
And today, I have here with me Miss Jill and Miss Ju with me, and they're going to be helping me in breaking down this movie. I hope you'll stay tuned. So let's get started on how we usually do it. We usually have 5 questions, right? And I have them written on my phone here, so don't mind me if I'm looking down. And let's get into it. I'm a diehard Disney fan, and actually the first movie my husband and I first saw was The Princess and the Frog. That's how bad I have it for Disney movies. I've definitely gotten the kids into watching Disney movies as well. And Raya turned out to be a very good movie with a lot of teachable points for them. So I wanted to share with you guys today, and with Miss Jo and Ju here, I'm sure we're going to have a very good show for us today. So we're going to be going over 5 main questions, and then we'll, delve deeper into them. So the first question, like I always ask on this episode, is what were you hoping to see? What were you hoping for in this movie? Miss Jo and Miss Ju, what were you looking to find in this movie? What were you hoping this movie was going to teach you? So based on the advert, I was actually hoping for a cartoon that could teach kids positive and tangible lessons like that of Frozen, Moana, Brave, Coco, and many others. Even though I feel like movies are too deep for little children, I think young teenagers definitely can figure out the lessons. I think they can figure out the lessons. One might have to break them down though for little kids and ask them lots of questions at the end. Definitely, you can't just leave these children to be watching movies like Raya, like we're talking about, and expect them to understand the deep lessons. Well, I guess you're right. Movies can be too deep for children at times, and that's why I always say parents should be there to watch these movies with the little kids, so that way they can, you can guide them into what you want them to think about the movie and what you want them to learn from the movie. For me, I was hoping for a movie that will teach children and adults, that there can still be peace in the world on an individual level, that can infiltrate a community if we don't allow hatred in our hearts in so many ways. That's what I was thinking. I was hoping for a movie that would have a positive impact on my kids. I do remember a time when my daughter watched Over the Moon, where the mom in the story actually died and a spirit was transported to the moon. I feel like after that movie, even though I didn't sit down with her to talk about it that month, oh my goodness, my daughter said I love you 100% more of the time, because I felt like she understood that people are not here 100% of the time, and that people died. So she kind of understood that she needed to tell me she loved me a lot of times because she felt like she could lose me at any time. So, we might think movies are just movies, but they do have, whether you like it or not, positive or negative impacts on our children. So you definitely want to pick good movies like Raya for them. I'm surprised the movie did that. Yes, so movies can influence children. Children can be influenced in a lot of ways, most especially by what they watch. So definitely Disney has influenced a lot of us women when we were children to think that a man will come on a horse and save us and marry us. I love that now there are girl characters in movies who are, influencing young children, girls especially, that they can be also doers and not remain passive in their situations. So yes, movies can influence how children think and behave. I mean, look at us. If not because of Disney movies, I don't think we'll be expecting tall, dark, and handsome coming on a shiny horse to come and save us and marry us. Disney did that for us. So what I usually do is, after, maybe after you've watched the movies, you can ask your children, you can ask them, what did you learn from the movie? What are the important points you can take from this movie? Definitely talk to them. If you talk to them, you can also understand their train of thought, where they're coming from, and understand more about your kids. Yeah, special time bonding, most definitely. Yeah. All right, so thank you guys for your opinion on the first question. So now we're moving on to the second question, which is, what was your initial reaction after watching the first 3 to 5 minutes of the movie? And you guys can leave me a comment in the section as well on what your thoughts were the first 5 minutes of watching this movie. Thank you. Ju, what was your first initial reaction watching the first 3 to 5 minutes of this movie? I'll go first. Hold on, Ju. Tell us. We want to hear. I'll go first. It's okay. Just hold on. I have to say I was captivated. I was mesmerized. I was drawn in. Definitely. What are these statues? Why are they statues? Why is their world so dry? And all the colors, it just came together. And this is what I like about Disney movies: the colors, so warm, and the graphics just keep getting better and better. When the graphics are very good, you are more drawn into watching the movie, and you want to see what's going on in the movie. But if the graphics are really bad and they look boxy and they look all they have skinny legs or tiny legs and they fit into skinny shoes, like, you're gonna be a little bit turned off. But Raya's graphics definitely was 100% top notch, and that's why it got me watching as well. The first 3 to 5 minutes after I've watched it like a million times now made me think of something totally different. How will a world so physically dead and dry be transformed in this movie? Especially for what we talk about on this show, peaceful living. In the first 3 to 5 minutes of this movie, it made me want to know how that world became dead in the first place. And I long for how it will be revived. So that's awesome, ladies. I didn't even think about it that way, Jill. To me, I'm always thinking about how peace can be restored in situations. So, definitely I was thinking of how peace was going to be restored back into that time. Definitely, yes. Yes, this channel is all about peaceful living. So of course I was interested. This is sort of like what's going on in the country today. So many divisive topics: the virus, social media, kids going back to school, politics, politics here and back home in Nigeria, and health and safety and life in general, making everything look dry right now and colorless. But I know there'll be a time again where peace will reign, just like in the movie. The country does look less deserted right now compared to how it was in the beginning of coronavirus when everyone stayed home during the quarantine, But it's getting better. I really hope it's getting better. People are coming out now, and taking precautions. So just like we did in the last episodes, Let's now focus on the things they got wrong in this movie. Yes, movies can get some things wrong, right, you guys? When you're watching movies, you always want to have your antenna up for, the positive things that you're learning, and then you want to also pay attention to what doesn't make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And then you don't want to be picking up lessons from something that doesn't make sense, and you don't want to be negatively influenced. So you always have to keep your guards up, right, when you're watching movies, any movie. I'm gonna ask the ladies what they thought, if they picked up anything wrong in the movie. Can you let us know, Miss Joe? How did you pick up anything wrong from this movie when you were watching it? For me, I noticed that in the first 10 minutes of the movie, the hero and the villain of the movie were raised by single people. I did not. How did you pick that up? I was thinking about that as well. Was this intentional? Even though the movie could have still made sense if both daughters were raised by both parents. What message were they trying to pass? What message are they trying to push? Let us know in the comment section if you felt the same way. Maybe they were trying to make single parents feel included in the movie. I guess you could say that. Yes, inclusion. That they are being seen and being appreciated, and that they can raise their children to be strong and independent. It just made me wonder how she took care of herself, up until adulthood. Yeah, well, that's true. And just like in movies, they can't tell you every single thing that happened in the movie. Sometimes you have to, figure it out yourself, and hopefully you made the right assumption, right? So in the movie, they were talking about how, all of a sudden she just went from a little girl to a big girl. How did she take care of herself all this time? How did she live? Did she work? Was she working? What was she doing? How did she make money? So that was something that they didn't put in the movie, but I guess we can make our own assumptions. I can make an assumption that maybe she stole, maybe she was stealing, but then her dad taught her to be a good person in the world, so I don't think she was stealing. So maybe she was staying with a relative. The movie didn't mention anything about her staying with a relative. So how did she eat? Oh yeah, she did say she made her own jerky. So I guess from that we can safely assume that she became a person of the jungle. She was able to take care of herself from what she found naturally. Why weren't they raised by both parents? That's a very good important point that Joe raised. Let us know in the comment section again what you guys thought about that. Why wasn't Raya and the villain raised by both parents? Even though I think the storyline would have survived with them being raised by two people. That's my thinking. And this brings us to the most important part of this episode, where I'm hoping we will spend most of our time. And the question is, what did they get right? Ladies, what did they get right in this movie? In this Disney movie, what did they get right? Did you learn anything? Oh, they definitely got a lot of things right in this movie that I think kids might not even be able to catch them all unless their parents guide them through it. There's definitely a lot of good lessons. Oh yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like lessons on not trusting anyone, but then also giving people a chance. So true, Joe. And a lesson I did pick up was about staying focused and not giving up even when everything seems to be against you. You ladies have been awesome today. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you guys are here. All the time when you are here, I'm so happy. Thank you very much for your contribution up until now. Don't worry, we're almost done. I just want to put my own 2 cents to this movie before we get to the last question. Under the umbrella of living a peaceful life to resting in peace, that's how I try to live my life, because I want to rest in peace at the end of the day. I'm going to break down this movie based on that fact, right? G, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on what they got right. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Calm down. Yeah. Wait. I want to know. Tell us. Remember how I always talk about LinPrinP is broken into 6 parts? The physical, spiritual, psychological, or mental, social, academic, and financial. Remember how I always talk about that? Those points were talked about in that movie. Definitely. The physical aspect, like I said, the physical part where, they turned into stones. That's a physical aspect of the movie. And also there's a mental part of the movie where the drones actually take the souls and replace the physical body with a stone. The academic part of it is the part where Raya has to learn how to take care of herself as she's now, turned into an orphan, right? I think that takes a lot of learning, not necessarily in a physical school on survival, but she learned how to survive on her own, right? And then there's a social aspect, which I think is the most important part of this movie. This movie, I feel, is a social, almost like a social experiment on what's going on in life right now. This movie is mostly about the social aspects of living life, right? And then the financial aspect also talks about how Raya, was able to make money and pay for food for her guests on the boat and things like that. So they talked about, we've seen how she manages money, we've seen how she sees herself, we've seen how mentally she's brave and she's happy, even though she has a lot on her plate. So those 6 aspects are how I maneuver myself as well in life. You always have to be cognizant of those 6 aspects of living life. If they are balanced, you'll be balanced. You know what I mean? So these are some of the lessons that I took out from that movie. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Let me know. Life in Tail teaches you to be very fast, so that the booby traps don't get you, right? You can't be slow when you're living life. You have to be fast. So Life in Talent teaches you to keep your eyes wide open and not be afraid. And this one goes back to where they met the chief, the lady chief that tried to steal from them. That's talent. So you always keep your eyes wide open. Don't get duped by scam artists. The baby turned out to be the scammer. I hope you've seen this movie. So you definitely want to keep your eyes wide open when you're living your life. Don't get duped. Life in Fang teaches you not to underestimate your enemy, right? Remember when the daughter was talking to the mom like, Mom, you have to take her serious. She's very strong and she's brave and she's getting all these gem pieces. Don't underestimate her, Mom. Mom, she's very strong. Don't underestimate your enemy. That's what I learned from Life in Fang. And then Life in Spine teaches you to have one, right? It teaches you to have a spine and be brave and be strong and be courageous, just like the people in Spine. And lastly, Life in Heart teaches you to be vulnerable at times and also to remember the goal, the dream, and to be hopeful. Wow, those are good. You are so right. I'm not done, you guys. I did a lot of research. The last lesson that I learned from watching this movie is that we need to be first to take the first step in trusting someone else and also to listen to our parents. Even if you disagree with your parents, just listen to them first, and then you can try to educate them on what you are thinking. But first, listen to them. That we already know. And parents sacrifice a lot for their kids because of the future. In this movie, you can just see how that sacrifice made the whole difference. And in life, always be the first one to trust someone, to take that first step in trusting them. Now, if they show a sign of distrust, then you can pull back. But at least you've taken your first step of taking a chance. Another thing is there are some correlations to what's going on in the world today. The dystopian world Raya mentioned is what we are battling today in real life. Great suffering and great injustice. So much unfairness going on and so much hatred and no true peace. Kumandra was a way Raya's dad was hoping for a better life for everyone. Is there actually anyone like Raya's dad in the world today? I don't think so. And even if there were, I'm hoping no drone has corrupted him yet. Guys, what do you think? We can kind of compare the worlds of what's happening in Raya's world and what's happening in our world today. Everyone is smiling, but deep down inside, there's a lot of suffering, so much chaos. So I think that does it for what the movie got right. The last question that I'm going to ask is, what are the future implications of watching this movie? You guys, what do you think? Joe? Honestly, if kids watch this and understood all we have been saying, through their actions, there will be less bullying and more acceptance. There will be less competition to have the best and, than the other person. There will be more tolerance of each other. Yes, you're right, Joe. There's actually less bullying in schools, and some people are complaining that they want to bully back. Unfortunately. Would that be a good society though? Because sometimes these things help with the balance. Can there ever really be Kumandra? I feel we need to see it represented in media first. What that would look like before we can actually achieve it. Sometimes I ask myself, Joe, can there ever be peace in all of the land at the same time? No fighting, no war, no competition. Can there ever be a time where that's gonna happen? I doubt it, but at least we can try. We can continue to try until something happens, right? Let us know what your comments are about the movie in the comment section. I think we have dissected this movie enough right now. So it's a wrap, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're watching for the first time, my name is Laraddiji. I'm a Nigerian American lifestyle vlogger who loves living a peaceful life. And I love talking about situations we might find ourselves in that need peaceful endings. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well, so do follow me to see what I do on a daily basis. Let's continue to love our neighbors as ourselves. And remember to rest in peace. We all need to be living in peace. Stay blessed. Bye.